Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Writing with Neethus.
This is me, Hannah. Yes, today we will start with a new journey. Indeed, we'll be joining you on your journey to perfect writing.
Let's dive in and make writing easier together. So what I'm planning to do today, I know all of you are joining. Yes, welcome to the live, all of you. So whatever questions you have in between when I'm explaining something and you have some questions related to it, always please free to comment it. I will definitely read it and answer your questions as well. So what I'm planning to do today is, even if you are someone who's just heard the word IELTS and even know it means International English Language Testing System, that's all you know, you have no idea about anything else. If you watch this live, I'm sure you will get some idea about one of the modules, one of the toughest modules in IELTS, which is the writing module. I mean, most students tell me that, oh, I'm weak in writing and speaking. Writing and speaking are really hard for me, and especially they say it's really difficult. Writing is really difficult. To improve the score in writing is a Herculean task, so that's what students tell me. What they're telling is true. That is true, at least in their cases, because you don't have the right technique. When it comes to any exam, it's important that you work hard, but there is something called smart work. Understanding the techniques and just putting on, and understanding your weaknesses, understanding what the examiner is looking for, these are very important factors that have to be considered when preparing for an exam. So if you know the right technique, I think even the toughest exams could be cracked. So this is no big task, but if you know the techniques, things are going to be easy. So we're going to look at the techniques today. So I've been using that word quite a lot of times, I guess. Okay, so first what I'll be doing is I'll just give you an overview, and after that I'll show you slides, and from where you will you can see what's written there. So initially let me give you an idea about what this is going to be. Let me give you the IELTS overview. So you basically have in IELTS, which is the, like I mentioned before, it is the International English Language Testing System. In IELTS you have 4 modules: your listening, your writing, reading, and speaking. These are the 4 modules. Most of you know that. And writing is one of the modules. So writing is actually different for general and academic training. How is it different? Why is it different? I mean, not why is it different, how is it different? Those kind of things would be dealt with in detail. For now, just know that writing is different for academic and general training. We'll definitely come back to this later. And now you need to know what the examiner is looking for. I'm just going to read out the assessment criteria. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna explain it to you now, and when you hear it at first it might sound like Greek and Roman to you, but don't worry about it. I am going to explain each of that in detail. I'm gonna break it into teeny weeny pieces that would be easy for you to process and understand. So don't worry about it. When you hear those words, don't think, oh my God, this is not something which I would be able to understand or handle or do. No, don't think that way. Just listen to it now. Only thing I want you to do is just familiarize with the words I'm going to tell you. So there are 4 assessment criteria. The first one is task achievement for task 1, task response for task 2, then cohesion and coherence, lexical resource or vocabulary, then grammatical range and accuracy. So these are the 4 things the examiner is looking for in your answer. When you write an answer and give it to the examiner, this is what they'll be looking for. And I know, like I mentioned before, I know you are not able to understand any of these things. It's fine. We will get to those things in detail. All right, so now let me tell you what writing module is all about. When it comes to writing module, this is 1 hour of a test. You will have 1 hour, and you will have 2 tasks, task 1 and task 2. So if you ask me, do both these tasks have equal importance? The answer is no. Your 1/3 of your marks come from your task 1 and 2/3 from task 2. So which means you should divide your time in the same way. You have 60 minutes. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So 1/3 of 60 minutes is 20 minutes. So it is recommended that ideally you should be dedicating 20 minutes for your task 1 and 40 minutes, which is the 2/3 time, for your task 2. Okay, but when you go for the examiner is not going to come take your paper after 20 minutes and then give you the answer sheets for the task 2. But initially, you will be given both task 1 and task 2 questions and the papers. So it is up to you to decide whether you need to spend 20 minutes or for task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2. Yes, you do have that freedom to decide what time to spend for which task. That is fine. That is there. I agree with it. But if you tend to spend equal time, like 30 minutes for task 1 and 30 minutes for task 2, it's waste of time, because in task 1 you only need to have a minimum of 150 words, and it is recommended that you write between 160 to 180 words. But when it comes to task 2, you need to have a minimum of 250 words. And again, it's recommended that you write between 250 to 280 words. And if you do not write these minimum words, like minimum 150 words for task 1 and minimum 250 words for task 2, you know what's going to happen? You will be penalized. You will lose marks. So always remember, time management is something you have to focus on when you're practicing. So now, from all that I've said so far, you must be able to understand one thing, that you have 1 hour for your writing test, and you will have to divide the time in such a way depending on the basis of the weightage of the marks. So for task 1, you'll be spending 20 minutes, and for task 2, 40 minutes. This is the same for both academic and general. So when the rules are different for academic and general, I will be mentioning it. If I don't mention it, assume that it's same for both academic and general. As you know, that academic is mostly for students who are going abroad for studies, and the other one, general, is for those people who are going abroad for work. And again, it depends. So whether you're going for academic or general definitely depends on what your preference is, what you are planning to do in your life, whether you're going to study or work, or whatever that you are planning to do. All right, so I told about the percentage of scores as well. 2/3 means 66.66%, and 1/3 marks means 33.33%, and I'll show you how the mark is calculated as well. So now let's move on to the IELTS score calculation, and for this I will show you a slide, and from that you can understand. So the slide will be displayed on the screen now. So this is called IELTS writing score calculation, how the score is calculated. You can see that. First, let's look at this, how scoring works. All right, both task 1 and task 2 are marked on 4 criteria. Like I mentioned before, both your task 1 and task 2 are marked on the basis of 4 assessment criteria. I had read the names of those criteria. I hope you remember it. You can see that task 1, it is task achievement. Task 2, the first criterion is task response. And if you ask me what's the difference between these two actually mean the same. It's almost the same. When we get to that part, you will see what that is. So it's almost the same, all right? But they're just giving you different words they're just giving you accurate words. But the meaning is almost the same, I would say. And next is coherence and cohesion and coherence, or coherence and cohesion. Then you have lexical resource. Lexical resource means vocabulary, your words, and then you have your grammatical range and accuracy. So each criterion is marked out of 9. That means they will, I'll show you. So for task response, they'll give you a mark, for example, 6. For cohesion and coherence, you got 7. For lexical resource, again, you got maybe like 5. And for grammatical range and accuracy, you got 6. So for each of the assessment criterion, you will be marked out of 9. And then an average will be taken. So how do you take the average? You add all these things together. That is 6 plus 7 plus 5 plus 6. So you will get a number. that number divided by 4, the number of items. So divided by 4, that will be your task 1 score. And similarly, they do the same process to task 2. All right, the same process is done for task 2, except the only difference is like for task 2 it is task response, for task 1 it is task achievement. Like I mentioned before, it's both are same actually. I mean, they're similar. All right, so you will be marked on the basis of that. And again, so for task 2 also the same method is applied. So 6 plus 7, so you got different scores for each criterion that is added. So you got a score for your task 1, imagine you got 6.5, and for task 2, say you got 7. So now what they will do is they will find the average of these 2 scores. So now again, like I told you before, your task 2 has more weightage. That means 2 by 3rd of your marks come from task 2. So what they will do is they will add the score of your task 2 twice. So that means it will become 7 into 2 or 7 plus 7, both the same, right? So 7 into 2 plus 6.5 divided by number of items. Now you have added your writing task 2 score twice. So that means there are 2 items there, and plus 6.5. So that's the 3rd item. So divided by 3. And the mark, the number you get there is your writing score. This is how writing is marked. Okay, I hope it's clear now. So I'll read what is written on the slide. The average of the 4 criteria gives the score for the task. The average of task 1 and task 2 gives you your overall writing score. So this is how your overall writing score comes. All right, let's move to the next slide. Now coming on to the rounding off. The final score is rounded off to the nearest half or whole band. What do you mean by that? The final score is rounded off to the nearest half or whole band. So it goes like this. If it's 6 to 6, let's take a score 6. If it is 6 to 6.24, that marks is equal to 6. All right, if it is 6.25 to 6.74, it will be 6.5. So here you're rounding it to the nearest half or whole band. So this is how it goes. If it is still 6.24, the nearest whole band is 6. So it becomes 6. If it is 6.5 to 6.74, it's 6.5. And if it is 6.75 to 7, like 6.99 or 7, then that is 7. All right, this is how your marking is done. So I have given an example here. Your task achievement is 6, cohesion and coherence is 7. Lexical resource is 6.5, grammatical range and accuracy is 7. So your task 1 score will be what? 6 plus 7 plus 6.5 plus 7 divided by 4, 6.625. You see 6.625 comes between 6.25 and 6.74. Therefore, it is 6.5. Now let's look at task 2. I hope you understand it now much better. So I already showed you the calculation and I'm just reading it out for you. I hope you're able to understand it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Please feel free to comment. And then task response. For task 2, you have, for task response, you got 7. Cohesion and coherence, you got 7.5. Lexical resource, you got 7. Grammatical range and accuracy, again 7. So the average is 7 plus 7.5 plus 7 plus 7 divided by 4. That's the number of items. This is equal to 7.125. So 7.125 is actually 7. I hope that part is clear. So this is about IELTS scoring, how to calculate IELTS score. I think it is clear to you all. If it is not, please feel free to comment. And so if you ask me, is it important to know all these when preparing for IELTS writing? I would say yes. having an idea about how it's scored, how it's marked, would definitely, that's more like setting an aim or goal in life. If you ask me, is it important? Yes. Why is it important? Because it motivates you to work towards it. It gives you an idea of what to do. You should always set a goal or aim in life. That's when you tend to work towards it. You need to have something to work towards. So here, when you know how the marking is done, how your score will be calculated, you're giving yourself a reason. You're giving yourself a point towards which you should be working. So that is needed. A purpose has to be there. So this gives you a purpose, I believe. So that's why I took a couple of minutes to explain this. And also, this is not something you have to spend a lot of time in and learn. You just have to understand this is how it's done. That's all you need to do. You don't have to learn it by heart. You don't need to do anything. So now if you've listened to what I'm saying, this should be the first and the last time you spend time for IELTS score calculation, because you don't have to. If you've listened to it carefully and with utmost attention, I'm sure you wouldn't need any more explanation on this. You will be perfect when it comes to the writing. And now let's look at task 1, types of questions. So first we're going to have a look at academic questions. So IELTS academic has got task 1 and task 2. Just like even general also you have task 1 and task 2. IELTS academic task 1, it's mostly report writing, I would call it, because they'll give you a picture like what you can see, like what you can see on the screen now. You will be given different types of pictures. Maybe it's bar, it's line. Again, don't try to by heart all the types of questions in IELTS academic. You will become familiar with it as and when you practice. So every day we'll be focusing on, each week we'll be focusing on each type of tasks. So you will be familiar with it. So now, for now, just see the picture, just like how you would see pictures on a magazine. Sometimes we go for doctor's appointment, or we go for some other places, take an appointment, and while we were waiting, sometimes they give you magazines, right? At that point, you would be just sitting there and turning pages, and you'll be seeing the pictures, and maybe sometimes going through it. So that's how relaxed you should be while seeing these types of questions. While I'm explaining the types of questions, you should be seeing all these questions, and you should have an idea about it. And not idea, just be familiarized with it. I'm trying to familiarize you with the questions, just showing you what this is, that's all. So the kind of attention you need here is that of a person who's reading a magazine and just going through the pictures on it, okay? Yes, because I don't want you to worry about your writing so much just by seeing this. This is not what you're going to do. You're going to cut it into teeny-weeny pieces. I'm going to help you do that. We're going to take small portion and learn. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm reassuring you about that again and again, because I know the mindset of students. I've been teaching for so long now. I know when students see questions, they get really stressed and tense, and then they don't want to learn at all. So I don't want any of you to think that way just because I'm showing these things. I'm just showing these things for the purpose of showing, just saying that, okay, I'm spending too much time on that and I shouldn't be, I guess. So just look at this. This is a bar chart. We've seen bar charts back in school, right? All of you must have drawn it as well. So here you'll be given this bar chart and you'll have to explain it. That's all you need to understand now. Now, I just wanted to show you these are the types of questions you will have in IELTS writing. And I just give you a sample bar here. It could be, you can have different types of bar charts, but this is just one to just give you an idea. When I say bar, I want you to have a picture, so to see. So that's why I put that. And next one I'm gonna show you. The next one is a line graph. So this is how a line graph would be. So basically, you know what, if you I don't know if you all remember back in school when teachers were teaching us about bar graph, line graph, pie chart and all those things, what they usually did was, like, they would give you data. okay, that data would be on the table. So we're actually showing the same data on a graph, on a bar graph or a line graph or a pie chart. So it's basically the same thing, okay? So the vocabulary you use, the way you're writing, everything is similar for your bar, your line, your table, and your pie. So I know you'll forget it, but it's fine. When we reach that place where we would be explaining all those things, you can come back to it, okay? We'll talk about those things in detail. For now, just hear it and leave it. Okay. And now the third one is pie chart. So you'll get pie charts to explain. I hope you've seen it. So this is a pie chart where they've given data, and in 1 or 2 lines the questions would also be given. Okay, so then you have a table. I mean just a normal table. A table and pie and bar, those things wouldn't be way too complicated for sure. I mean, it is not going to be very complicated, not as complicated. I mean, this seems like a lot of data, but usually, sometimes you will get a lot of data, but other than that, most of the time you don't. It would be a small chart because you can only explain it in 150 words, right? So the questions would also be like that. All right, then there is process diagram. Process diagram is like here, the process diagram is of sugar cane, how sugar is made, things like that. So sometimes it would be the process of making orange juice. So there is this process vocabulary you have to learn and all this. And the next one is maps or plans. So you will be given maps. Again, you have to describe it. All right, so you saw the maps, right? Yes. So now let's see what to do in writing tasks. So we'll take question by question, we'll discuss that, we'll see how to write it and everything. But for now, just look at this. What to do in writing task 1. In writing task 1, the only thing you have to do is describe what you see. This is a place where most students make mistakes. You might know so many things about it. So imagine you are given a process diagram where they're making orange juice. So the first process is that they're washing the oranges, they're cleaning the oranges, and then they're cutting the oranges. Then they're putting into a mixer jar and making the juice. And you know that most of the time when you make orange juice, you have to put a bit of sugar. So that's how you put sugar and then you serve it. So while explaining the process, imagine you know that sometimes oranges are sour, and to make it fit for drinking, you have to put a bit more, add any kind of sweetener or sugar or anything. So you're waiting for that, okay? I mean, you know that. So what you're doing is, while explaining the process diagram, imagine you wrote and a bit of sugar was added and it was served. Then your answer will go wrong. You will lose marks for your task achievement because you have written what is not in the graph. So you need to describe only what you see. All right, that is very important. If you see in the bar graph, you saw that the percentage of young people who used mobile phones was exact 74%. You can never write slightly above 70% because you have to describe what you see. I have seen students writing that mistake even after explaining this so many times. So they tell me like, ma'am, usually this is how it's done, right? I know this, I work in this sector, so usually this is how we do. I'm like, what we know has no relevance here. What's relevant is what they have shown us, and you only write what you see. You don't write what you know. There is a difference between what you know and what you see. What you see might, that information might be contradicting what you know. But that's okay. You want marks, so you will just write what you see. You will just describe what you see. All right. I think that's enough of the explanation for that part. Then you will summarize. What do you mean by summarizing information? So sometimes what happens is in the bar graph or the line graph or a combination of both or anything, whatever the type of question be, what you will see is like there's a lot of information, there's a lot of data, and at that point you might have to summarize a bit. Also, there is a paragraph called overall. An overall paragraph also you should write a summarized version of it. Okay, so that's when that's what summarizing is all that's what summarizing that point is all about. So most of the time when you get a question, whether it be a bar, a line or a pipe, they will give 2 or 3 sentences as question, where they would ask you to summarize and make comparisons where relevant. So that means you have to compare data. So I'll show you how to do it. For now, just know that you need to describe what you see, you need to summarize, you need to make comparisons where relevant. Just know this, okay? I know and I'm sure you don't know how to do it. It's okay, we will learn it, we have time. We'll take, you can take your own time to learn that. We'll learn it together. We're in a journey to perfect our writing, so I'm there with you. So we'll be learning it together. I'll show you how to make comparisons where relevant, what are words to use to compare things, okay? And here you need to write in a formal or a neutral style. So what do you mean by writing in a formal or neutral style? Can anyone comment? Okay, so basically, writing in a formal or neutral style is about not using contractions and using academic language. And again, I'll show you how to do it properly. Okay, now let's move on to writing task 2. Writing task 2 in academic, this is where you have to give an academic essay response to a point of view. Sometimes they'll give you a point of view, or they might give you an argument, or they might give you a problem. So you have to write an essay on this. Again, this is academic essay, this is academic writing. You will not use contractions or informal language. You will use only formal language and you will write it in a formal way. All right, let's look at the next one, which is like academic style or semi-formal style. So let's read that. You don't need to have specialist knowledge to answer this question. So here is the thing. I told you for academic essay 2. Academic task 2 academic essays, what happens is they say you don't need to have specialized knowledge to answer this question. But what I've seen is most of my students, so if I have a student who's an engineer, if he gets some topic related to technology or AI or things like that, they seem to outperform other students. And if my student is a social worker, when they get questions related to it, they do it well. And some other times when the questions are related to business, the MBA graduates, postgraduates, they do it way better than other students. So even when they say you don't need to have specialized knowledge, if you do have it, apparently it kind of helps. But, you know, if you look at the questions, what they're saying is right. You don't need to have specialized knowledge to write it. All that I'm saying is like those students outperform the other students. That's it. Their essays sometimes be better than the other students when they get topics that they're very comfortable with. But you don't definitely need to have any specialized knowledge. You just have to have an overall idea about it, and you can just write it on your own, okay? But some students have problem with idea generation and writing, or even if they have idea, they have different kinds of, the students have different kinds of problems. Some students might not even get ideas. Some students get ideas, but they find it hard to put it on paper. So if you're someone who struggles with ideas, and when they say you don't need to have specialized knowledge in anything, I would recommend that you take a couple of topics every day and read and go through it. Read some essays or some books are available online, or if you want books from us, you can let us know in the comments. We'll help you with that. wherein you can get so many ideas, and they are explaining just the ideas, just helping you to have an idea about ideas. So I'm just letting you know that such resources are available. So that's a book about maybe like 1,000 ideas. So they'll start with technology and different topics related to technology, and they'll give points for that. So you should train, but at the end of the day, I would say you should train your brain to answer to any question that comes, because it's not possible for us to just go through so many questions. I mean, and the random number of questions, the random number of topics. So it's not possible for us to cover all those questions and all those topics before we go for an exam. All we can do is train our brain to think no matter what the question is. So just going through a couple of topics and ideas and brainstorming would definitely help you have that. So just please do work on it if you're someone who struggles with it, and support a point of view. So they'll be giving you an idea, then they will ask you whether you agree or disagree. That's a type of essay in academic task too. Then you will have to give examples. This is very important. Some of my students, what they do is they don't give examples, and what happens is, like, when a question is asked, they first write the point, they give explanation in 1 or 2 sentences, and after that they don't know what to write. They don't have anything to write. So I always tell them, you have this option of writing an example. When you write an example, even that would definitely come up to 50 or 60 words, and if that example is clear, that is even giving you marks for your coherence. So always practice writing examples in your writing answers. So it could be any example, even if it's not from your own life or you haven't seen it. I always tell my students, write a recent report showed that, or some kind of real life experience, or any experience or any example is fine there. So write an example, because, and also when you write an example, so whatever I'm saying, so now, even now while I was explaining something to you, I don't remember which point that was, I was like giving you an example. I said, oh, for example, one of my students did that, because whatever point we're trying to convey to someone, if you use examples, then things become clearer and coherent. So it is very important that we do it. Other than that, what happens is, what some other students do is they write a point, they explain it in 1 or 2 sentences, and now they're not giving examples, rather they're just trying to fill up the lines and also add words. So what they do is they repeat the words again and again. I mean, they just write the same point in different way. I mean, they might change the word order or something, and they just keep doing that. Again, that is of no use. All right. So next one is general training. Can you all just read it? Take a moment. Read it. Yes, general training task 1. Again, now we're moving on to general training. So we're done with academic training task 1. Task 2, I showed you what are the different types of questions that you might get for task 1 and for task 2. For general training, for task 1, it's letter writing. Not unlike your academic task 1, here you have letter writing. What is this letter writing? So situation is given, based on that write a letter. So you'll be given a situation. For example, it's your birthday in the upcoming week, you're inviting your friend for that. So if they're asking you to write this letter to your friend, that's a personal letter, that's an informal letter. So here, for semi-formal letters and informal letters, or informal letters especially, you can use contractions, like instead of writing I am, so I'll show it to you. So even when talking about academic task 1 and task 2, I told you need to have formal writing. You have to have academic writing where you will not use contractions. All right. So here you can use contractions when, especially in case of informal writing. For formal writing, you should not use it. So contractions means write. So I am. Okay, this is how you write for formal setups. For formal writing, this is how you write. For academic writing, task 1, task 2, then formal writing and all that, you will write like this. But in formal writing, you can write contractions like I'm. So So you can write like that. So when you're writing a letter to your friend, it's a personal letter. When you're writing a letter to your manager, it's semi-formal. So there are 3 types of letters. Again, we will get to those things in detail in the upcoming lives. For now, just hear the names, okay? Then you have one formal one, which is someone you do not know personally. So when you write that, the letters that start with dear sir or madam, I've always felt like these kind of letter writing, this letter writing is something which would help you even in your real life. If you train yourself to do that, even in real life, when you have to say, send a mail, you don't have to use ChatGPT or any other app or AI. You will be able to do it on your own because you've practiced in writing letters, whether it's your friend or a manager or managing director, or anyone it be. Now task 2. Task 2, here also it's essay, but the topics are more like real life, everyday situations, those kind of topics, and not like academic topics. So task 2, same as academic, write an essay. However, in general training version, the questions tend to be more related to everyday and familiar situations. So all those students who are practicing for general training, make sure you, for task 2, it might look the same. You have discussion as your opinion, as the types of essays are all same, but the questions are different. So make sure that you practice general training questions itself. So usually it's like everyday life or familiar situations. So those are the topics you get. I mean, related to your everyday life, those kind of topics. Those are the topics you usually get. So you don't need to have any specialist knowledge about it. What some students think is like, oh, I'll practice writing academic essays because, you know, that's way tougher than this. So it would be easier for me to do it. That may not be the case, you know. Which topic or which subject is tough, it varies. It is a subjective thing. It varies from person to person. So a topic for you, an everyday topic might be difficult. So make sure that you practice it like that, okay? Practice your questions like general. If you are preparing for general training exam, then practice questions from that. Now let's look at each of the assessment criterion. I had just given you the names of it, and I told you just familiarize yourself with it, just go through it. You don't have to understand it, and I'm sure it would sound Greek and ramen to you. So that is what we are going to look at, analytical assessment criteria. What is analytical assessment criteria? Take a moment and read it, and I will explain it in detail. I know you will not understand it when you read it the first time. I will help you with it for sure, but just take a moment and read it. Okay, so here is what it is, okay? Analytical assessment criteria, task achievement. So I told you for task 1, it is task achievement. What is task achievement? Just like what the name suggests, it just means how fully you answer the question. How fully you answer the question, and are you answering to the question? That's what task achievement is all about in simple terms. Now let's read it. How fully? You include all the key features. So I told you in academic task 1, you have diagrams for like bar, you have line, you have map, you have process, you have different types of it. So you have to include all key features, data and trends. So you have to add all the key features, especially for your overall paragraph. It's very important. We'll get to those things in detail, but now just hear the words. So from the beginning, I've been telling you when I say something new or when I introduce some new words to you, I'm telling you like just make sure that you're familiar with those words. You don't have to remember it or by heart it, nothing. Just be familiar with it. That's it. So include all the key features, data, trends. So trend means has it got increasing trend or decreasing trend, something like that from the chart, graph or diagram given. Avoid missing important information. So whatever important information is given to you, you have to have it on your answer sheet. Example, if a line graph shows population growth for 3 countries, mention all the 3, not just 1 or 2. And another thing is you report the data appropriately. So you have to fully do it. So whatever information you see on the question, you have to have it in the report that you're writing, the answer that you're writing. And you have to write it appropriately. What do you mean by writing it appropriately? Your tone, style, and your style should match the task type, which is formal. Like we mentioned before, it has to be formal and neutral. Avoid using personal opinions or informal language. And this is one of the common mistakes a lot of students make. You know what they do? This is task 1. Like I told you before, you describe what you see and you do not write what you know. This, and just like that, this is another mistake they do. They say like, oh, I see it has got an increasing trend. You know, they're not asking you about what you see. They're just asking you to report what you see. So you don't have to write again like, oh, I think this is going to decrease after this. No, you don't need to write your opinions. You don't write your opinions in your task 1. And so avoid using personal opinions or informal language. Example, instead of I think the sales increased, you look at the example, I think the sales increased a lot. You don't write that. Don't use the word I think in your writing task 1. No, never do that. So write, sales showed a significant increase over the period. Now some people might be wondering, might be telling like, oh, I don't know to write it like that. I don't know this way of writing. I don't know this tone. I don't know this style. It's okay. I'm here to help you. We will be learning that in the upcoming lives for sure. So I'll help you write like that. We'll learn together. We are on a journey to perfect our writing, and I'm there with you from today onwards. So, and next, so you have to fully write it, you have to appropriately write it, and you have to write it accurately. So what do you mean by accurately writing it? Reporting information and data precisely. So just like I told you before, if they have shown you the proportion of young people using mobile phones is 74%, you would write 74% itself, not slightly above 70 or nearly 80. No, nothing like that. So reporting information and data precisely. Example, if the chart shows 55%, don't round it off to 60%. Accuracy matters. Now, relevantly. Avoid unnecessary details or descriptions that do not relate to the data or given task. So, relevance is very important. So, you have to give accurate data, full data, appropriate data, but not irrelevant one. For example, don't describe colors or shapes of the bars. That's not what is important. The data they've given is what is important. So your focus should be on that. Focus only on data, what it shows. Increases, decreases, comparisons. Then appropriate format. What is this appropriate format? You need to have an introduction, which is paraphrase the question. Then you need to have an overview, then body paragraph. So how do you write your introduction? Again, we're not learning how to write introduction here. We're just seeing how introductions are written. Okay, so you write it like this. The bar chart illustrates the number of students studying abroad from 2010 to 2020. And you write an overview for that. Summarize the main trends or key features. So in overview, so this is the area I said you will summarize. Summarize the main trends or features. And example, overall, the number of international students increased steadily in all the 3 countries. So you're just writing a trend or a main feature. So the number of international students increased steadily in all the 3 countries. So now you have to have body paragraphs. So body paragraphs like group and describe data logically. So you group the data and you describe it logically. Avoid writing in essay format or introductions like I'm going to describe. I told you, in your task 1 writings, you will never use I. So if there is one thing I would want you to remember from this is like you should spend 20 minutes for your task 1. 40 minutes for your task 2, and for task 1 academic you will never use the word I. Okay, that's one thing. These should be, at least you should be able to, if somebody asks you what are your takeaways from it, you should be able to say this. And so let's look at the example. In 2010, country A had the highest number of students, while country C showed the most rapid growth over the next decade. All right, so that is about your task achievement in task 1. So we discussed so many things today, not so many things, just the basics of IELTS writing. So first I told you what writing module is about. It is different for academic and general. Then we looked at the criteria. Then we looked at the scoring. Scoring is different. I mean, the weightage is different for task 1 and task 2. Then we looked at the different types of task 1 questions. For academic, we saw bar, we saw line, we saw pie, we saw process, then maps, and then we saw task 2 essay, where you write, you answer to the question, you will be given an opinion or a point of view, you have to write an essay on that, so your tone should be neutral and formal. Then we moved on to general, IELTS general, task 1, which is writing letters. So you have to write letters to your friend, so you might get a situation, based on that you have to write letters. It could be to your friend, it could be to a manager. So depending on whom you're writing, it becomes formal, semi-formal, and informal. And then we saw task 2. In task 2, what all things are we learning? You don't need to have a specialized knowledge in anything. It would be mostly everyday topic or something like that, and where you do not need to have specialized knowledge. But whereas in case of academic task 2 writing, you need to have specialized knowledge. You don't need to have it, but the topics are different. So we saw that, and then we came to assessment criteria, and we decided to learn each assessment criterion one by one. And we started off with task achievement, which is the assessment criterion of task 1. So task 1 and task 2 have the same assessment criteria, except one, which is task achievement. So it is task achievement for task 1. And task response for task 2. So we started looking at task achievement. What does it mean? In simple words, it's about answering to the question, fully answering it appropriately, accurately, and not stating when relevantly. You just write your relevant information. You will not write anything more. And then we looked at in the bar, how do you write? What is the structure? So I will show you that structure once again. So first you write your intro, then you write an overview, then you write the body paragraphs. So yes, you can see the introduction. So introduction, you paraphrase the question. If you just write the introduction, the overview, and the body paragraphs, you will be able to see that that's how a proper task 1 essay looks like, okay? So I'll read just the introduction, the overview, and the body paragraphs together. All right, just the examples together, just to give you an idea about how it will look. The bar chart illustrates the number of students studying abroad from 2010 to 2020. Overall, you don't have the graph here now. I'm just reading the answer just to give you an idea and show it to you. Overall, the number of international students increased steadily in all 3 countries. In 2010, country A had the highest number of students, while country C showed the most rapid growth over the next decade. Okay, so that's how it is. I think it's clear to everyone. If there is any part that you want me to repeat or that you did not understand, please feel free to comment. I will explain it to you. All right, so does anyone have any question? Hi, Siji, Michael. Yes, I'm happy to see you all here. I hope it was helpful. If there is anything more you would love to know about, or if there is any topic that I need to cover in IELTS writing, you can let me know in the comments and we will definitely consider that. And in this live, what we're planning to give is just give you a complete idea about IELTS writing and equip you for your exams. So just like our motto says, write with us. We're going to make you write with us, and we are diving in together to make one of the toughest modules in IELTS easier together. So we'll see you again in the next live, which will be on Friday at 5:30 p.m. So till then, bye-bye, take care, and good night, and happy learning.